Okay. Good morning. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to today's event, the T+2 press conference, marking a very significant milestone here in the Nigerian capital market. So today is a big day. Today signifies progress. It signifies collaboration and commitment to improving the market efficiency and aligning with global practice, best practice. But before we start, here at the Nigerian Exchange Building, safety is key and your comfort. So before we start, please take time to look at here. We're about to play an illustrated video on
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nigerian Exchange Group Event Center. At Nigerian Exchange Group, your comfort and safety is our priority. As part of our health and safety policy, please listen to the following announcement. For your convenience, the restrooms are located to your right, just outside the door of this event hall. In the unlikely event of an emergency, 2 exits have been provided for your use. A stairway that you can access from the lift lobby just before you enter the event center. Another emergency exit is located right behind the stage's backdrop. The door can be opened by pushing the handle. Please do not use the elevators during an emergency. Rather, locate the nearest exit from where you are sitting in a calm and orderly fashion. Emergency responders will also be available to provide additional instructions as required. Please switch off your cell phones or activate the silent function so we don't interrupt the proceedings here today. Once again, welcome, and do enjoy your stay at Nigerian Exchange Group.
Okay, thank you very much. We are honored to have in our midst distinguished leaders who have been instrumental in this journey. Please join me in representing the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Bola Ajumele, the Executive Commissioner of Operations. We have in our presence the Chairman of the Central Securities Clearing System, Mr. Temi Obola. Welcome, sir. To his right is Mr. Haruna Jallo Waziri, the MD CEO of the Central Securities Clearing System, PLC. We have representing the Nigerian Exchange Limited, Mr. Abimbola Babalola, Head Trading and Products. Representing the CEO of the the OTC Securities Exchange, we have Ms. Chiwendu Ike. Representing the MD of the Lagos Commodity Future Exchange is Mrs. Nkechi Obi, Head of Operations. I would quickly like to recognize dignitaries on the floor. We have, before we move them, we have Mrs. Onome Komolafe, Divisional Head, here at the Central Securities CSCS. We have Mrs. Afsat Rufai, Director, Registration, Exchange, and Market Infrastructure Department of the Securities and Exchange. We have Mrs. Olukemi Awodin, the President of the Association of Eastern Houses of Nigeria. Welcome. We have Mr. Femi Strobanjo, the CEO, NJS Regulation Limited. Also in our midst is Mrs. Isioma Lawal, Head of ERM at the Central Securities Clearing System, PLC. And of course, we have Tomilayo Aluko, Head of Corporate Comms, Central Securities Clearing System, PLC. Thank you very much. So I'll quickly run us through the agenda of today. We have the welcome remarks by the Chairman of the CSCS, PLC. Going down, we will have opening remarks by the MD, CEO, Mr. Jalo Waziri. We have special remarks by the DG SEC, which will be delivered by the Executive Commission of Operations. Then we will move to the questions and answer segments. Yeah, so without that, I would like to pass the mic to the chairman. Sorry. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you very warmly to the exchange, even though I've been reminded that I'm here not in my capacity as an employee of the exchange, but in my role with the CSCS. It's a real pleasure to have everybody here. Distinguished guests, captains of industry, our regulator, esteemed capital market stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my distinct honor to welcome you to this historic gathering as we commemorate a pivotal advancement in the evolution of the Nigerian capital market. This is the official transition from T+3 to a T+2 settlement cycle. Today's milestone transcends the technical adjustment of shortening timelines. It represents a deliberate step toward strengthening investor confidence, deepening liquidity, reducing risk, and firmly positioning our market within the standards that define world-class financial systems. The transition to T+2 is not merely an operational achievement, it is a strategic signal. It's a signal that affirms that Nigeria is committed to building a market that is anchored on efficiency, on transparency, and on global competitiveness. In a world where investors demand speed, reliability, and predictability, this achievement reflects our readiness to meet and exceed those expectations. It is a declaration that the Nigerian capital market is prepared to compete and to thrive in an increasingly interconnected global landscape. Reaching this point has required the collective strength of the entire ecosystem. It is the outcome of deliberate coordination across regulators, operators, intermediaries, and service providers. The visionary leadership of the SEC, under the leadership of Dr. Imomotimi Agama, ably led, of course, by his management team, and we're very grateful, ECOPS, that you are here with us today. They have provided the direction and the clarity that is required for a transition of this scale. Furthermore, our exchanges have demonstrated exceptional discipline and operational readiness. Across the entire value chain, from brokers and custodians to clearing members, settlement banks, registrars, issuing houses, asset managers, pension fund managers, our technology partners, and entire stakeholders, they have all shown remarkable commitment and alignment. This achievement is the result of months of disciplined preparation, extensive stakeholder engagements to ensure clarity of purpose, rigorous operational testing across institutions, methodical process adjustments, capacity building initiatives, and wide-ranging awareness campaigns. Together, these efforts have enabled the coordination, the confidence, and precision that a successful market-wide transition demands. I must also acknowledge the T+2 Steering Committee and its subcommittees, whose depth of expertise and unwavering dedication ensured that every technical, regulatory, and communication detail was carefully addressed. Their work has been instrumental in enabling today's milestone and in reinforcing the credibility of our market's transformation journey. Yet, as significant as today's, it represents the beginning of a broader evolution. The adoption of T+2 lays the groundwork for new opportunities that are firmly aligned with Mr. President's agenda for a $1 trillion economy. For this to happen, it requires deepening foreign investor participation in our markets. It requires accelerating post-trade efficiency to enabling the introduction of more sophisticated products and improving overall risk management. It strengthens the integrity of our market infrastructure, and it aligns Nigerian jurisdictions that have long adopted faster settlement cycles. Globally, markets are pushing towards T+1, and they're exploring more advanced systems across different asset classes. And this transition that we're witnessing today positions Nigeria to participate effectively in the next generation of capital market innovation. Today, we celebrate not only an important milestone, but the confidence that comes from collective ambition. We celebrate the collaborative spirit that continues to define our industry and the shared commitment to building a capital market that is resilient, modern, and globally competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, by shortening settlement cycles, we have expanded the frontier of what is possible. We have strengthened the foundation upon which future innovations will be built, and we have signaled clearly to local investors, to global participants, and the international financial community that Nigeria is ready for the next phase of capital market advancement. Once again, let me say a very big thank you to everyone who has contributed to making today a success. Let me particularly appreciate the CEO of CSCS, Mr. Jalo Haruna Waziri, for your continued commitment and tremendous effort in making this a reality. I welcome you all again. I thank you all for your partnership, for your belief in this shared vision. Together, we will continue to build a capital market that stands as a model of excellence, innovation, and global relevance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we move to the next agenda, I would like to recognize the presence of the Registrar and CEO of the Chartered Institute Stockbrokers, Mr. Ayorunde. Welcome, sir. Please, I would like to call on Mr. Haruna Jalo Waziri for his opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. You're welcome. I think 5 years ago, I don't know if Stefina remembers, or remembered, there was the Association of Custodians annual conference that they do every year, and it's typically in London. And I think I remember Emefiele was also there. I went on stage, and I said that Nigeria is going to move to T+1. And the room went eerily quiet, and they started talking to each other and said, what's going on? Why are we talking about this? This is a surprise. I said, no, this is a desire that we wanted Nigeria to go to T+1. And I started talking about the benefits about 5 years ago. I think the next conference, and then we went to TNF, I think, which is the network forum that brings in custodians and network managers together and discuss post-trade matters. I got on stage, and there were maybe 90 questions. 89 were for me. And since then, everywhere I went that had to do with post-trade, and there was a Nigeria presence there, the discussions were around, how are you going to do it? Are you sure you can do it? Do you know you can do it? Do you know the consequences of what can be done? And it hasn't stopped. I was at Kigali yesterday at our AELP as well as the WACMIC Council meeting. Again, the discussion is, are you sure tomorrow is going to happen? What will happen if it doesn't happen? But first of all, let me acknowledge the support of the SEC, because when I went to first discuss it, they actually got it because it was part of their 10-year, if you like, capital market master plan to say we're going to accelerate trading, or rather settlement. And so here we are, just at the tail end of that sunset of that, if you like, capital market plan. We're about to do that. Please, can I ask you to do something? Can every member of that steering committee please stand up for recognition? Please, can we give them a round of applause? Because they went through, argued about the diverse stakeholder engagement, diverse people with different interests, but yet we were able to come to some kind of level of agreement for us to be here and launch it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So today marks a defining milestone at the Nigerian market officially. We're transitioning from T+3 to T+2 settlement cycle. By the way, there is no presentation because we've gone around everywhere to have stakeholder engagements. So I didn't want to bore, or we didn't want to bore you with a technical presentation because we've done this over and over in different circuits. So this would be a straightforward discussion. This achievement reflects, like I said earlier, a collective commitment of our regulators. So I want to thank you, regulators, and of course the quasi-regulator, which is also the NGX, because we really worked with them, Babalola and Co. The operators as well as the entire ecosystem that we have in the market. It's about strengthening competitiveness. It's about enhancing investor confidence as well. And as I sat down, the chairman of chairman of CSCS, said that, Jalo, when are we going to T+1, T+0, so your son can also invest? Because he knows the story that I tell every time. I said, my son always says, Dad, I asked him, why are you not in the market? He said, well, if I go to Amazon, I buy in the morning, it delivers in the afternoon. If I don't like it, I return it, my money is back. He says, well, I can't wait 3 days to buy, 3 days to sell. That's 6 days before I get anything done. So when you're ready, let me know. So I'm going to tell him now and take a picture and send him to say, we're almost there. This is not just about procedural change. It actually signals that Nigeria's alignment with global best practice in security settlement is also here. Our market relied heavily on manual processes and physical share certificates. My good friend, the Commissioner of Operations, used to be in this building when I was call-over clerk. It used to take us 3 to 6 months to get certificates ready for trading. Mr. Jamal, am I right? So today, we're moving to T+2, certificate-less. So to be honest, we've come a long way. And this particular process before used to create significant delays as well as operational bottlenecks contributed to widespread issues, including things like unclear share certificates, dividend, and then declaring investor, if you like, confidence. We are far away from that. I believe that the CSCS was formed in 1996 to actually, in 1992, I think, yeah. It's actually to help remove that bottleneck. I remember back in the day when we were on the floor. Settlement day is Friday, and everybody brings his own check, right? Mr. Odin is looking at me. That time you are still, we used to exchange checks. And if I owe you money, if I didn't have cash flow, I won't show up on Friday, which means you've taken a risk and you're carrying a debit that I've not given you. CSCS originally came and actually cleared that, if you like, risk that is enveloped in the market. The mission was to modernize the market, eliminate the risk of manual handling, as well as usher an era of faster, more reliable post-trade settlements, which is what CSCS was built for. Like I said, we were at T+5. We left T+3, and then, of course, today we're talking about T+2. But it's important that we go back to history. In March 2000, was settlement cycle reduced to T+3. It was T+5 in 2000, I believe. But then today, November 2025, we're transitioning from T+3 to T+2 settlement, marking another landmark development in this market. It brings Nigeria's market into alignment with leading global best practices, including Europe, Asia, and America. It reflects our readiness to operate at the speed of modern global markets, which is what we need, where faster trade finality is key to attracting investment from everywhere. It's also powered by major technology upgrades, including what we did with the IBM Power 10 series, enhanced market connectivity and expanded automation. And I think some of the project managers for that IBM Power 10 series, I saw Tolu and 1 or 2 persons from technology. Maybe they've gone back to, okay, you're here. The significance of that is that we actually moved and upgraded our technology. Nobody knew what happened over the weekend. Over a weekend, rather. I think it was last month. End of last month. We took it where there was a holiday, and we said, let's build the possibility to do it. I don't know how many people are able to do a major upgrade of their technology, and you didn't feel anything within the market. It was seamless. And I also want to thank my team. Please, can we give them a round of applause? Now, what's the benefit for the market? It's improved liquidity, which means faster settlement frees up capital sooner for investors to be able to, or fund managers or intermediaries to do more with their funds, and investors as well. It reduces counterparty risk from a shorter settlement cycle, means that there's lower exposure for you to keep somebody's money and not be able to pay. Especially as we move into faster settlements faster cash settlements across the globe. It brings in investor confidence. Both local and foreign investors benefit from a more predictable settlement process because now you can plan. Even though in the beginning, myself and the custodians were having some kind of argument around, is this the best for us? But right now, they are champions and pushing this thing. T-Match, thank you for all of your effort as chairman or president of your association. The CSCS readiness was very important and the investments that we made. Okay? Without that, we probably won't have the confidence to say, let's go to T+2 or T+1. And some of the things that the major groups we did, I mentioned about Power 10 series, our SOC center, which monitors almost everybody within the ecosystem that we have, that we've used. So every time we connect to you, you're also on our SOC. So we start seeing what other traffic that goes through you, that use our APIs, so that we protect the whole market as a whole. But very soon we'll come and start charging the market. I don't know Tim how to say no. So things like the SOC center, Sophos, our web share, and other enhancements were actually some things we built. And thank you, Chairman, for the debate we had at the board in terms of the investments we're making. Sometimes the board will ask us, show us the ROI on it, show us the ROE on it, show us what you're going to do with it, what's your depreciation, which is fantastic because it allows us to be more prudent than we wanted to be. So thank you to the board of CSCS as well. Because they understood what we want to do, but they were mindful of the cost of what we want to do and what will be the implication to the bottom line of the company and also the efficiencies. In terms of risk management measures, settlement time shortens, we've strengthened our risk framework and upgraded real-time monitoring tools. Isioma is here. She's always coming to me and say, we need this tool, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to protect the system. Somebody is going to do that. I mean, I like that because risk management is about, trying to make sure that whatever you're doing, you've thought thoroughly about it and understand what the consequences are. But it doesn't mean that I cannot do it. What you do is you must have mitigants, in the things that you're doing on a daily basis. We've worked with settlement banks, custodians as well, for this cycle to be able to happen. Of course, for us, safeguarding market integrity remains our top priority because when our rating agency comes, what's the name? Thomas Murray, one of the things they look at is when you transited, what happened? What measures did you put? What are the failures that happen? Because they report these things on a daily basis when they're failures. And that affects our rating in the rating agency system of post-trades. But more importantly is that we conducted market-wide readiness assessments, simulations, and extensive change management sessions with all the stakeholders, which is why I asked you to recognize the committee that actually sat down, steering committee that actually did this thing on a hands-on basis. Our post-trade processes, I'm happy to say, are now 95% automated, which means it's enabling high-speed, low-latency processing and significantly introducing error trades. I was having a conversation with the president of CIS and the chairman of Ashon, the new one, yesterday in Kigali, and they were saying, look, we can't remember the last time we came to your office, which is CSCS, not just my office. Back in the day, the lifts here are filled up with brokers or investors coming to our office. I remember back in the day, I don't know if you remember, we used to buy air fresheners, and they used to finish very quickly because of the number of people that come into our offices. So I was joking with the Shainde. I said, Shainde, next time I come to my office, say, if I come, you're just giving me tea or coffee, but nothing much to discuss, or I'm looking for donations. I said, that's better than when you used to come every day. Now, the impact of that is that we have significantly scaled up in terms of our capacity to automate and make sure that the investor at the end of the day, whatever he does in the market is seamless. Of course, in collaboration with all of our stakeholders, especially the NGX. Of course, without the approval of SEC, none of these things will happen. So thank you all. In terms of collaboration across ecosystem, like I said, this milestone would not have been achieved by CSS alone. I want to thank members of the steering committee under the leadership of the SEC by extension. And, Mr. Ruva, I can't stop mentioning your name. Mr. Ruva and I debate every day about how things are not working. But when it comes to how to solve it, she's always there to support us to actually solve it. So thank you once again. My own Onomeko Walafe, who, when I was asking them that who will take this responsibility within the exco, and she was quick to raise her hand and said, I'll do it. So well done for volunteering and well done for this project. So the exchange is where I always start and where I always come from. We want to thank the exchange significantly. Babalola is always there with us. Jude and I debate extensively about whether this thing should work, including yesterday. So I want to thank everybody at the exchange, the tech team, the operations team as well. They did a fantastic job in working with us every day across channels to make sure that we get to this day. The brokers. So Ms. Auden is always with us. She's looking for business, but she's also looking for efficiency. So, and discounts all the time, which you said now, no. But they've worked with us significantly. Ashon brought us 2 strong people, and they were believers in what we were going to do. And so thank you very much, all of you. Fund managers, settlement banks, there were other market operators that actually worked with us in this thing. To be honest, this has been truly an ecosystem-wide effort, reflecting the unity and resilience of this our market. So I want to thank you once again, because CSCS just thought about how to do it, but we didn't do it. I think the market did it. So in terms of go forward, right, what are we doing to ensure that market participants are supported? We've established support channels to assist participants through the transition, including system testing environments, process documentation, and dedicated readiness team. So we'll have a command and control center that if anything goes wrong, so that we have them attending to everybody as we go along till Wednesday, because the real story will start on Tuesday. Because that's the day we will settle 2 settlements on one day, and then be able to adjust where necessary, which in my mind, I've been told that there's no need for any adjustment, so hopefully it will go well. We remain committed to ensuring a seamless transition with minimal distortions to the market. That's a commitment we had in the beginning before we started this. So what's the impact for retail investors? The shift to T+2 means quicker access to funds and a more efficient trading experience, because now I like to see them coming in. Instead of 3 days, you start seeing orders recycled to 2 days rather than 3 days, because some people trade, settle, and then trade. Of course, our USSD service, which is *7270# continues to support market inclusion by giving them millions of investors access to their portfolios. But looking ahead, and myself, Mr. Jamale, and Mr. Popola were talking about T+0, that when is T+1? Well, let's get to T+2. T+1 is likely to be in May of next year. While we celebrate T+2, our ambition does not stop here. Of course, work has already started for the T+1. We'll need to take a lot of data and see what happens before we move to the real time of T+0. With advancements in our infrastructure, collaboration with central bank, improvements in payment landscape, Nigeria is well positioned to keep pace with an accelerated settlement system, which I believe in strongly. So, today's transition marks the beginning of a new era for our market. We at CSS remain committed to driving innovation, enhancing market trust, and positioning Nigeria as a globally competitive investment environment. We thank all stakeholders for their continued partnership as well as support as we work together to build a stronger, more resilient, and more dynamic ecosystem. Thank you. But let me also say something to the press. We need your support to actually push this narrative correctly and let people know what its impact is and how it affects everyone. Otherwise, thank you very much, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remark. Before we move to the next line of our agenda, I would like to quickly recognize the president of the Association of Access Custodians of Nigeria, Mr. Babatunde Majiagbe. Welcome. Also, Mr. Jonathan Ibora, Registrar and Chief Executive of Institute of Capital Market Registrars. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome. I would like to call on Mr. Bola Ajumobi. He will be delivering the special remarks from the DGSEC. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from the DG. He's particularly delighted about today. As for me, I am absolutely excited about today. It's a wonderful day, and it's just showing that we're moving in the right direction. But I'll start with a small correction. Mr. Jallo, you said we used to settle. At that time, when we were floor warriors, you said we used to settle every Friday. It was every 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after. And so if you trade on a Monday, the person who's supposed to pay you will not come in until 2 weeks after on the Friday. And then, God help you, if that person gives you an up-country check that doesn't clear for 21 days. So it used to count. And then, after you've done the trade, you then take the security, go back to your office, lodge it eventually with the registrar, and it takes almost a year sometimes before you get the certificates for 100 units of Nestle. It was a very interesting time. And so where we're headed, really, I would say, is in the absolute right direction. The DG knows this, he gets it. We call him the digital DG. And as a result, he said, look, I'm not going to give you anything to write. I'm not going to write anything for you to say. Go and tell them what you want because you know about that market and you know where it's headed. So the DG says, congratulations and well done. And I will read my own speech. We're moving in the direction that the rest of the world has moved in. US, Canada, European Union, Singapore, the Far East. Everyone's moving in that direction of making transactions faster, more efficient, more secure, more reliable. And we're moving in that direction. We're deepening our liquidity by this fact. We're also aligning ourselves to the IOSCO principles, where we belong to a body that is made up of 150 more or less jurisdictions, and not all of us have moved to T+3, not to talk of us moving to T+2. By the time we make this announcement to IOSCO, I am sure they will come back to study the Nigerian situation and the Nigerian case. We're expressing today a very measured and deliberate and unmistakable understanding of where we need to be and what efficiency is all about. And I thank Jalo for his vision and his articulation of the vision maybe like 5 years ago. In fact, it was more than 5 years ago that he first mentioned it. We jokingly said, yeah, we can start moving to faster transactions. So thank you for your vision. Thank you for your tenacity in bringing this through. Thank you for spearheading it and even leading the committee, the really able committee that you led. I thank the professionals who are part of this team, the thought leaders, but most importantly, I thank the critics, of whom I was one, and the skeptics. I was one. And I'll tell you why. I was a skeptic and a critic because of responsibility. We cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to get this wrong. We're taking a very bold step. We're announcing to the world that we're moving forward. Not only, God forbid, our energy and our talent will forbid that we lose, that we don't make this work. We will make it work. And how do we make it work? It's not by chance. It's not just by a wish. It's not just a joke. It's not. It wasn't by happenstance. It was very deliberate and very intentional the way we have gone about this. At the SEC, we recognize some certain things. What we're doing now is going to bring us some challenges. It's going to challenge us to have sharper surveillance over transactions. It's going to ask us to make sure we have the capacity to detect faster errors in the system. It would challenge us to make sure that we have very quick dispute resolution processes in place. We must open up communication channels and make them more efficient, and we must always and consistently test and stress the system to see and make sure that it's working, because things are now bringing quicker results. It means that the impact is going to be faster and more pronounced. So it's going to challenge us, we know that, and we're prepared for it. It wasn't only the SEC that was driving this. In fact, SEC was not driving this, SEC was testing this. It was really the market and the ecosystem that said they want this. And so what we did at the SEC was to say, are you really ready for it? And I remember one of the first meetings that I sat on as the SEC, I shifted the date back. I remember I said, let's stagger this, let's phase it. Let's start with T+2 and make sure that T+2 is working, and then we can move to T+1. Otherwise, today, we might have been doing T+1. But it's a journey. It's not a sprint. We will get it right. And as we get it right, then we're inspired and spurred on to do even more. Maybe the day will come when we're going to be doing T-1. Who knows? Maybe. But for now, think about it. But for now, we're moving to T+2. We have T+1, as Jalo has mentioned, we have T+1 in sight. We actually have a date, and we're not going to miss that date. We actually have a date in mind. We're not going to miss that date because we are going to get this right. So this is just the first step. As I say, the journey of 1,000 miles or something begins with a step. Yeah, this is the first step in the right direction. For the operators, there are also challenges. And I must commend your commitment as operators to you expressed a commitment to some certain things: tighter pre-trade verification, clearer and more accurate client information. You must be certain about your funding arrangements. You've got to have strong and consistent and deliberate reconciliation processes. And when I say that, what I mean is reconciliation must be second nature. Where, as a trade is happening, there's a whole structure, a framework in place that does deliberate reconciliation to spot if anything, a single kobo, a single share is wrong, or a single apostrophe in a name, or hyphen in a name. If that goes wrong, it may slow down the system. It may cause skeptics to say, hang on, Nigeria said they were going T+2, see what happened, even if it's just an apostrophe that went off. So you must be clearer about your reconciliation and more deliberate about it. Of course, Jalo has mentioned technical infrastructure. Our infrastructure has to be absolutely correct. And that was one question I kept asking as well, that how about the infrastructure? Are we ready? Have you changed? Have you transitioned? And he didn't tell me when they had changed, by the way. It's only that it's a good change. So we'll just tick it off. We won't sanction or anything of the sort. But really, we didn't know. I mean, it really well done. And again, congratulations, Onome and team, because normally when there is a change in infrastructure or in your technology, a technical change, you would hear a lot about it. You would see announcements. We're going to change this. We're shutting down for 2 days or 72 hours. You won't be able to do something or another. And very quietly, you snuck it on us. Well done, and good luck. To you, the operators, I would say, because you're able to do this and get us this close, people look at Nigeria and say we're the leaders of the emerging market. To you, the operators, making this work just affirms that you are indeed the leaders of the emerging markets. So well done to all the operators in the market as well. Of course, a market doesn't exist if it doesn't have investors, if it doesn't have clients. And so we must send a very clear signal to our clients, to those who we serve. We serve them as a regulator, we serve them as exchanges, we serve them as infrastructures, we serve them as operators. We must send them a clear signal of what they stand to gain. Lower counterparty risk, as we mentioned, greater liquidity, greater reliability, faster access to proceeds. Jalo's son can come in, for example. We're aligning with global settlement standards. And to the general public, it just sends a message that Nigeria is committed to developing a credible ecosystem. So this is really great news. The financial press really have the full responsibility of sending this message out, obviously. You play a very pivotal role in sending out this message. You're the translators of this reform. You can translate it into Nigeria's being overambitious, or you can translate it into Nigeria really is coming into its own. Nigeria is a great destination for investment. You can send that signal out successfully. You're the ones who amplify confidence. Sometimes you also amplify the fact that somebody didn't get his dividend on 100 units of Dunlop or something, but you're the ones who amplify confidence in the market. You're the ones who tell the market and tell potential investors that Nigeria is there and open. You play that unique role. You're also an educator. So people are going to be looking to see, what does this mean? It's up to you as financial journalists to actually tell them this is what it means. You're our ears and you're also our mouthpiece. I thank you again for your efforts and for how you have supported the market up to this time. So I'll just conclude by saying that as Nigeria exits the grey list, the FATF grey list, this is yet another step in reaffirming to the world, reaffirming to investors, domestic, foreign, institutional, retail, that indeed Nigeria is a great investment destination. It's a momentum we're starting, it's a journey we're starting. We must maintain it. Regulators, ourselves, the banks, the quasi-regulators, we will continue to maintain vigilance. Operators, I encourage you to continue to maintain discipline. Investors, continue to watch the space. And to the financial journalists, I would say thank you. Continue to report the market. This is a wonderful day. Indeed, we're not only facing the right direction, we're facing the bright direction. Well done, everyone, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we move to the next line of agenda, which is the press engagement. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, today we are here for T+2 settlement cycle. We implore you to keep your questions within that space, and so that we'll have enough time to answer questions for everyone. So before we move to that line of questions, please indicate by showing your hands and introduce yourself, your media house. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a question.
Good morning. I'm Kehinde Adiaga, Business and Financial Perspective on Rainbow FM. I want to sincerely appreciate the effort put by the Central Security Clearance System, the SEC, and the exchange. But I'm disturbed because I would want to know if you can give us an estimate of how much it has cost you to get to this stage. Because you're already talking about T+1. I recall that some years back when I was in the US exchange, I did say to them that we are operating T+3 then, while they were operating T+5. And they were shocked. And they were asking me whether I'm a broker or what, and I said, no, I'm a journalist. They said, whoa, this is fantastic. I'm happy that I'm alive to see T+2. And I'm also expecting, praying that I'll be alive to see T+1 and probably T+0. Because we, like the Mr. Adumale said, we are the intermediary between the markets and the the investors. I know there was a time we heard about trade alerts. I don't know whether that still exists. Because I've had interaction with some investors in respect to the timeliness of responses to their transaction. Some will tell you, like recent one, a transaction was done for an investor. He was expecting to get paid maybe 5 days after. And it took the payment 3 weeks. And the person called me and said, but he said you are operating T+3. Why is it that my payment is not made? And I said, well, I'll need to inquire. And of course, I tried getting information, but I couldn't. But I was able to get back to the investor to say that T+3 is what we are still operating, and that this, the CSCS will alert the person when this payment is due. So I want to know now if all investors, regardless of the unit you are holding, whether they can get almost real-time information as to the settlement period. That's one. And I also want to know whether the trade alert system is still functioning or not. And my last question has to do with what is there for the operators in terms of protection, because there could be some abnormalities in transaction, and then maybe broker will be asked to pay for it. What are you doing, or what is the regulator doing to ensure that brokers too are protected, not investors alone that will be protected under this current situation? Thank you very much.
I think since there are multifaceted questions, maybe I should take and then direct where the other questions would be.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, CSCS is a PLC, so financials are published and reported at the SEC, as well as NASD. Today, we have spent less than 1.3 billion naira in capital expenditure across. Right? That's less than 4% of our revenues of last year. Typically, when companies grow this fast, you spend between 18 and 25%, and Kemi, please confirm that, for you to accelerate growth in a company. We're doing less than 4 or 5%. So that cost is minimal. Now, why is that so? Because over the years, we were investing almost every year. And which is why when I sit down with the board, they're talking about depreciation. I'm like, these are one-off type investments that you don't have to recycle. The last time we did an upgrade, we've never done an upgrade since 2017. Am I right? So you can imagine this next cycle can be anything between 5 or 10 years. But we've not done anything in 7 years or 8 years. So in terms of cost, to be honest, it's almost I don't understand. People are asking me everywhere, what's the cost? I'm like, it's very minimal. It's because we had deliberately planned and scaled up gradually to get to where we are. If you say accumulated cost over the last 6 or 7 years, if you spend 3%, 4% of your revenues on capital expenditure, that's even including cars, if you know what I mean, for staff. So that's quite reasonable. So I don't think you should worry about cost. And by the time we get to the end of the year, when we publish the accounts, you probably can do an analysis and say, this is what really costs us by the end of the year. I'm not obliged to say that because it's a PLC. But having said that, no, don't worry, it's not much cost. The chairman made sure that we didn't spend too much money. In terms of real-time, investor information, today we still do that. What we don't do is for you to directly talk to us as an investor. But through your broker, there's something called global search, where at an instant, the broker can query your account and give you your information. So that information is real-time, it's 24 hours. We have 3 channels you come to us for as an investor. We have a chat on the website, right, which is a bot that will answer questions up until you get to where you stop, and then somebody will now start answering you, or maybe give you a phone call. We have the phone call. We have, what's it called, Jira, right, where you can go in and log in and do all of that. So there are multiple channels for people to actually speak to us. And except for the phone lines that go off at 6, I believe, I think it's between 8 and 6 or 8 and 5, which we want to extend beyond that. Maybe we're now doing 8 hours. Maybe we should do 12 or 14. But let's see whether there are calls enough to allow us to extend it to that. Because there are other channels to use without having to make a phone call. But otherwise, information continues to be instant, and access to that is always through multiple channels. So you choose whichever one you want. Now, if they're not working, you escalate to us. That's when you send an email. And don't send emails to individuals. I always plead to you, because when you send to individual, he doesn't see it and you think you sent it to the company. No. Say, use our contact center. There are multiple people that actually look at these things, and we have a workflow that distributes where the information goes so they can answer you faster than the individual. That's what I always encourage people to do. In terms of trade alert is still there. Before, trade alert used to be end of day. Now, trade alert is instant. So as soon as the trade occurs, you see the alert, unless you opt out, because there's a cost to it. So if you opt out, you don't get trade alert. Your broker will send you an email. But from our own side, once it trades at the exchange, we alert you instantly and give you your details. In terms of protection for the brokers, which is why we brought them inside, we've done extensive testing, even though I'll allow I'll let the DCOS speak about it, but from our own side, when we were doing this thing, we actually brought everybody inside and said, okay, where are the issues that probably are going to come? What processes do you need to change to ensure that you're able to do this T+2? What are the risks involved? We dimension all of that and change processes, in many cases policies, but we didn't need to change regulation because apparently the regulation was robust enough already to actually do it. So they were involved in it, and if there are any issues that are within market, within market issues. So we have our own resolution. So what's that thing we call resolution mechanism, which is being signed by everybody. We have a bilateral agreement with brokers, with settlement banks, with custodians. So there are ways to do resolution if it occurs. And the mechanism, I think, is robust enough to actually deal with if there are issues like that. And we did simulate, I believe, some of these things around how we can do it and what if something goes wrong. All of this testing has been done. Hopefully, nothing should go wrong. But from a regulator perspective, whether the regulator protects the intermediary, let DCOS please take that. Yeah, participants.
So what we have in place right now are the frameworks that protect the market, and we're still sticking with those ones. We, however, believe that by the time there's a recapitalization in the market, then there will also be added capacity in terms of protecting themselves. Now, what that dovetails into are things like, well, we don't have a house protection fund like we have for investors, but ultimately we start looking at structures like that as well to ensure that there's even if there's a failure on one part, there's some kind of recovery that we can put in place. But right now, we don't have any that can protect brokers. Everybody is taking their own risk as they do their business.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, we have someone. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and your media house.
My name is Efyong Ekop. I work for TVC Communications. I'd like to ask two questions. One, I like what is happening. It's a very great development for the market. I've observed that when you do this T+2, you are bringing in very great technology and you are spending huge amounts on it. Again, you will train your staff to handle it. So my question is, how will you pay yourself? That's how will you pay for the operations? I know that already there is a charge for the work of CSCS, the investment. So will you increase your charge? Will investors have to pay more for this additional service that is coming, in the sense that you get the money very, very early, as you said? Number two, what is the software that is supporting this system? I understand there was a time you were leading and working with, I think, a company in Canada that helped you to put some software here. I don't know whether you are still doing that. So for T+2, what software are you using? Which company is your partner? Thank you, sir.
Should we add one more question? Okay. Let her have. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Oluwakemi Abimbola. I work for the Punch newspapers. So my question has to do with one, on the back of this transition that you have made today, is there like a target in terms of volume of transactions and the value that we are looking at? Secondly, Mr. Ajamale, you mentioned the fact that there will be a need for quicker and faster monitoring of transaction and some other things, that conflict resolution and all of that. So I want to know, is there a desk at the SEC currently to look at those issues?
Margaret, maybe you take the last one before I take the others. Yeah.
So dispute resolution, management of, okay, so before I even answer that question, let me just state this, and it also goes back to the question Kenny asked as well. We are changing a time. We're changing a timeline. We're not changing the system, the established system of the market. All we're doing is we're shortening a time frame within things should happen. In other words, we're just making it more efficient. It is revolutionary in the fact that it makes for faster, quicker transactions, and presumably more liquidity in the system. It, however, is not revolutionary in the sense of we are changing the order of things. Normal trade practices will go on, normal trade hours will be followed, the same technology that we were using before are what we're using, I believe. However, all that will happen is we will tweak them up. It is like you've been restricting yourself to driving at 60 kilometers per hour, and then now you decide, I want to move up to 100 kilometers per hour. One of the first things you do is you check your brakes. It's still the same driver. It's still the same driving license. So I think we must understand that and be very clear in that. Now, our dispute resolution processes, obviously, if we have one person there, we'll need two. We will need to ensure that our emails are working, our communication systems are as tweaked as possible and as efficient as possible, because any dispute that comes in now does not have the grace of 3 days. It has only 2 days to get sorted, so to speak. We do have a monitoring department that handles issues with operators in the market, and that monitoring department will still remain. We're not going to change it. We probably will give it more, we'll probably empower it a bit more to move a bit faster. We'll probably be on standby a lot more to deal with issues that come, but it's not a significant change to the order of things. It is a significant change to the timing of things, and that's all it is.
Thank you, Dikos. Efeng, I'll go back to your first question. So, like I said, on a capital expenditure perspective, we spend less than 4% of our revenues. All right? Which is significantly decent. But in some places, they will tell you you're under-investing. As a going concern, you must continue to invest in capital expenditure, even as a sovereign, so that you can see growth in the company. So that's very small from a cost perspective. Now, did we change anything significant? We still use TCS banks. What we did was that we are at a version of TCS banks. Please, Tolu, help me here. We're at a lower version. We never upgraded the version. We didn't version 2, 3, 4. We didn't. I think we jumped from the current version to like 8 versions after, because we never went beyond that version. Because the reason why we did that was because we had too many middlewares that were built on that version. Now, moving it from that to the next one, I'm sorry, there's a bank that I use that upgraded Finacle from 8 to 10 or 12, I don't know. Everything went haywire. Okay, so we learned from that and said, okay, our middlewares, how are they coded? Are they based on that system's coding? And it was not, if you like, dynamic. We had to go and check every middleware. And we built a lot of middlewares. So we said, let's go and check every single middleware. Will it be compatible? And then we said, okay, even where this system was sitting, which is IBM Power 8 or something, we moved to 10, I believe. We said, okay, how will it affect how our database is collecting data? By extension, when you point at us to query for a report or whatever, I hope it doesn't affect it. Of course, we have to go through all of those processes. And by the way, we build most of our stuff in-house. So we don't go and contract people and say, come and do it for us. Hardly. Most of the solutions that you see we have at CSCS were built in-house. So that reduces cost. So we don't go to the shelf and buy and pay licenses, no. So our costs are lower when it comes to, compared to the things that we did. I can certainly guarantee you that. Now, would that be, okay, you talked about who pays for the operational systems. We're still the same people that are doing it. We're not hiring another person. We're not changing, just fast-tracking things to be done faster, quicker, and more modern, if you like, from a technology perspective. Because now we're moving from T+3 to T+2, which means that the custodians will do something differently. The registrars will also do something differently. The brokers, particularly, will accelerate how they, what's it called? How they settle, or rather how they interface within their own system, because their own other management system has to be tweaked as well to be able to accept that new system from an accounting perspective. But otherwise, no. Are we going to ask anybody to pay? Nope. The only thing we did pay in terms of cost was publicity, if I believe. And that's between the exchange and us. Even though we'll go cap around and collect from other people, hopefully, so that we can continue the engagement. But that's all. Because we understood. Now, before we did that, if I may say this, the board of CSCS went to DTCC 2 years ago. I think it's 2 years, right? 2 years ago, to go and understudy how DTCC was going to move from T+3 to T+1. DTCC is the biggest depository in the world. They do trades quadrillion in a month or something. Quadrillion trade a month. I've not had this number. I just normally see it somewhere. But yes, that's how much they trade. Now, so Kemi, to answer your question, because it's tied to what it is, have we done any analysis? What is very constant is that we've seen anybody that went to from T+3 to T+1 will lose liquidity for about 3 or 4 months, and it will go down about anything between 3 or 4 or 5%. That's because people are adjusting. Thereafter, it moves from between 7 and 15% in many markets, in some even higher. Now, there's a study by Value Exchange, Barnaby Phillips, I think that's his name. We will share that information with you in terms of statistics of how people have moved from T+3 to T+1 and also T+2. It's a very rich document. And I had an argument with him, if you remember, Sefina. He says, no, we're too early. I said, no. We've seen the statistics, you have it, but he was also a skeptic. But I think he's now a believer. So we will share that data with you. But certainly, in the beginning, it drops in most liquid markets, and then it starts picking up thereafter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mark, please, we have a gentleman right in front of us, and we will take a lady. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Akim Otiti, FCS 111. I'm the interim chairman of the Lagos district of the CIS. I would like to commend CSCS for this feat. This upgrade, we've been looking forward to it. It's an upgrade, so people should not have any fears. And it's going to bring in a lot of liquidity into the market. And it also ascertains the integrity of the market. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for your comments, sir. Okay, Mark, we have, please, we'll just take 2 more questions, please. We have a lady right here. And the gentleman over there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Helen Oji is my name. I write for the Guardian newspaper. So I want to get it clearer on the specific upgrade in terms of technology that you've put in place, that will ensure a seamless transition to T+1. I'm talking about T+1 now. Then again, how are you supporting stockbrokers, to in terms of adjusting to their strategies to this very shorter settlement systems?
Can we just take the last? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. My name is Tosin Ige from ProShare. And my questions are 2. The first one is that we seem to have an efficient market, or let me say effective market. But have we considered everything that can go wrong with this, such that we won't undermine the efficiency and effectiveness we have built over the years? First. And secondly, is this T+2, is it applicable to all categories of securities in terms of bond, including those who are under, whose clearing and settlement is outside the CSCS? Is it applicable to all securities in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you. Let me start with what can go wrong. All right? You can't model everything. You can near model things. Okay? Even quantum physicists or analysts will tell you, we'll model to so and so and so percentage. But you can't. You can't model for disaster. You can't model for rain falling. You can model for what you have seen over the years, that it's going to be 15 centimeters during this September or November. But when something comes beyond what you cannot do anything about. What do you do when you model, in order to ensure that if something goes wrong, you also mitigate? Is that things will go wrong. What do you do when things go wrong is more important. Okay? So that's why I say we have a command and control center that says, okay, if something happens, what do we do? We all sit down and say, okay, let's solve it. If you've not already modeled how it will happen. Isoma, am I correct? Because she's our head of enterprise risk management. So it's, what do we do if it happens? Like I said, Amazon, 3% of things go wrong in Amazon, but you don't hear about it because they have a resolution mechanism that helps solve it. Oh, don't worry, we'll send you another one. Oh, don't worry, we'll give you a gift. Don't worry, there's a voucher here for you. You are happier, you're going back. So in the context of that, CSS DNA is built in. Something will go wrong, but how do you fix it if it goes wrong? So we're not afraid for things to go wrong. Is that we must make sure we fix it when it goes wrong within a very reasonable time. So that is how we're approaching it. And it goes back to the question, how do we support brokers? They are part of this. So we're all supporting each other. All right? So it's not just CSS that will support them. They are part of it. We agree this is the way to do it. So every part of this market is involved, including the regulator. Ms. Fry is part of our team. We are taking decisions together. And also that support from the SEC will also come. So that's what we want to do. All right? In terms of specific technology, I think what we did was that we have the core software that we use, which is TCS Bank. It's developed by, it's owned by Tata. Tata is one of the biggest providers of post-trade solutions in the world, and we are one of them. We're one of their clients. That system is robust enough for upgrades every time. So they will just offer us, what are you doing? How do you do? Because we have a lot of change requests because our market was slightly different from most. So what we did was that what it sits on, which is the servers that run it, is IBM Power 8. We started running out of space. We started having slowness in the system. DSI files were exchanging longer than normal. And of course, after the enterprise risk people came, which is our CISO office, they started seeing that, look, if we are going to go and be connected to everybody, we must do 1, 2, 3, 4 under certain standards. Okay? So we went ahead and said, okay, what are the things that are out of line? What are the things that are slowing us down? What are the things that we need to get to modernize? So 2 or 3 core things that we did was our main software, the servers that it runs on, and of course, our security network, which is Sophos. Those are the 3 major things that we have done to ensure that we get to where we are. And these are things that already exist. Now we're adding something like Guardian to monitor all databases. So that's, in a nutshell, what we've done. Now, in terms of, I think there's a question about protection. Am I correct? Somebody asked about, what was that third question? I'm sorry. Who was it that asked? The gentleman over there? No, I think I've answered the question. There was one I think I've missed.
No, the one you missed is whether any securities, all securities in Nigeria.
Oh, so we clear for certain exchanges for the instruments. For the ones that, because the T+3 applies to equity markets. And anything that trades like equity, I think ETF also trades like equity, is also involved. But the bond market in our markets that we clear for, or rather we settle for, is already T+2. So they're already there. So maybe we look at other asset classes as required. Maybe the bond market, from a retail perspective, will go to T+1. But in all the instruments that trade like an equity, if you settle to T+3, to settle to T+2 now. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you very much. Ogo.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all for the Q&A. I would quickly like to recognize the presence of the president and chairperson of Council Institute of Capital Market Registrars, being represented by Mr. Ugo Okonkwo. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Now we're going to the closing part. I would like to call Mrs. Onome Komom Lafe, Divisional Head, Business. I'll finish it, sorry. I would like to call Divisional Head, Business Service and Client Experience. She is also the chairperson of the steering committee for T+2. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ogo, and good afternoon. Acknowledging all protocols duly established. Good afternoon, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed stakeholders, members of the press. I have a written speech here because I'm so excited. I didn't want to go out of form, so, but I'll try. But before I go with the speech, I want to acknowledge every member of the committee. I know we have stood up before, but please indulge me. I would like every member of this committee to please stand up for recognition. Every member, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. These men and women that you see here, they put me through hell and high water for us to get here. We are all smiling today, but there have been daggers drawn, wars won and lost, but we are here, and thank you very much. Thank you. As we conclude today's momentous press conference marking the official go-live of the T+2 settlement cycle in the Nigerian market, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to everyone for being here and for your wavering commitment to this journey. I would like to thank the Securities and Exchange Commission for their leadership. I would also want to quickly state that anytime Mrs. Rufai calls me, it's not as if I miss your call. I don't pick it because I need to go around and confirm that all is well, then I'll call you back because I'm not too sure what the questions will be. Even this morning, I had to do the same thing. And so I want to thank you for putting us on our toes. She actually had a call with us 3 weeks ago. That call was a go, not go call, even though she didn't say so, but the team and I were very prepared. And I thank you that it was a go decision for us. Thank you very much, ma'am. I also, please, could you give her a round of applause, especially? Thank you, ma'am. And I also want to thank all participating exchanges. The exchanges also supported us financially. Thank you very much. Trade associations, infrastructure providers, the press that is here today, thank you. And thank you for ensuring a smooth rollout. I would also want to call out a very dear friend and brother of mine, not in the speech, T-Maj. T-Maj will call me and say, "Onome, the publicity is not good. You have to do more. You're not talking to people." Thank you very much. I appreciate it. To all the members of the T+2 steering committee, thank you for the wars, for the battles. Sefina, thank you. We're going to go to T+0 whether you like it or not. I want to express my deepest gratitude. Your dedication, your insight, your relentless drive over the past months, planning sessions, technical evaluations. In the last week, I think we've been meeting every day or every 2 days just to make sure that all is well. It's just been a lot, and I say thank you. It's been a privilege. I have learned a lot. It's one of there's some meetings you go into and you can just walk into those meetings. You go into the T+2 transition committee, you better know what you want to say because everybody there is a prof. So you better know what you have come to say. Thank you for making me learn. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for leading. I want to also especially acknowledge the market operators, the settlement banks, everyone that was part of this. And so as we proceed beyond today's launch, I urge us all to continue championing the values of collaboration, transparency, and innovation that have brought us this far. Let us continue to strengthen our systems, deepen investor education, and promote the resilience of our capital market. Once again, thank you for your partnership and support. Let us move together to a faster, stronger, and more globally competitive Nigerian capital market. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now that brings the official close for today's event. Thank you once again.